Hello, everybody. I just went live in my group, but I wanted to share this message with more people, so I'm sharing it on my personal profile because I realized there has been more people that have recently become friends with me, and I want to get to know you and have you get to know me. So let me go ahead and share this to my group to make sure they're still getting this message. Um, Whoever is on, please say hi. I'm talking about a topic that why do amazingly spiritually talented people who can literally cure somebody's cancer with one energy work session, who can literally change the planet with their amazing magical gifts, why do they get stuck in 9 to 5s? Why is business so difficult for them? Why is it that they have a hard time being in prosperity, even though when they connect with their divine selves, it says everything about being abundant and prosperous, and yet at the same time, they're still stuck in their 9 to 5s? This is a super passionate topic for me to talk about, especially recently. I'm going to go ahead and share this into my group. I'm going to do my best to keep it short. I tend to go long-winded. Feel free to stop me at any point. Say hi when you pop in. Like I said, I realize there's a lot of people that have recently become my friends and on my personal page, and we probably don't know each other. So, hi, I'm Marina. Nice to meet you. I have recently rebranded my spiritual mentorship business. I was working with creative entrepreneurs. Now I realize I like to work with mystics and spiritual entrepreneurs because that's been myself for the very longest time. I've been playing in the spiritual realm and I've understood energy and manifestation very well. And now I understand some of the problems that mystics and spiritual people face when it comes to creating businesses around their spiritual gifts. So, welcome to the live stream. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Please say hi when you pop in. I want to know who you are. I want to meet you. But this is something that's super passionate for me lately because a lot of spiritual people feel like they can't charge for their services because somehow it's against this like spiritual code because oh no, money is, the root of all evil, or we have this like perception that we want to stay in high integrity with our spiritual gifts. We want to stay in high integrity and keep our spiritual gifts highly sacred, right? So for some reason, whenever we get money in the mix, a lot of spiritual people are like, oh no. And then they end up keeping their gift to themselves in their spiritual uniform, in the comfort of the shrine of their home, or their yoga ashrams, or their. Sorry, I'm getting texted by my mom. I want to tell you, I'm live right now. Anyway, so, a lot of them, they get stuck in like the ashrams or they get stuck in the comforts of their mind, if you will. They get stuck in this paradigm that they can't charge for their spiritual gifts because somehow it's going to ruin its integrity. Somehow it's going to mess up like how the gift is then presented into the world, which is really messed up because if you think about what the divine actually wants for you and why the divine actually gave you the said gift in the first place is for you to be prosperous, is for you to have the things that you want to have, is for you to actually utilize this gift for world change and for you yourself to be happy, healthy, have amazing relationships, have money, all this great amazing stuff. So a lot of spiritual people end up in this paradigm that is actually being fed to us by giant corporations, that keeps us in, oh, you're supposed to be just this meditative monk who is in a broke, type of, what do you call it, mentality. So having said that, this is why a lot of, spiritual, like really highly spiritually talented people don't end up, making businesses out of it, even though they can literally cure cancers with their energy work sessions, with their, whatever kind of modality it is that they have created, downloaded from the divine source. There are people like that, you guys, and I have talked to them. There are literally people that can cure cancers that have been in my field that I have talked to, and it really saddens me to my core as to why right now they're not making fucking millions, and instead there are corporations that are banking in on, prescription drugs that are killing people, on a mass scale with crazy side effects, instead of somebody who can literally cure somebody's cancer within one energy session. So here is where I wanted to take a look at this whole paradigm that there's nothing spiritual about being broke. There's absolutely nothing spiritual about being broke. And it's yet another paradigm that people kind of fall into to keep themselves small, to keep themselves not expanding into their full divinity, to keep themselves like in this paradigm like, oh, I must keep my gift sacred, so I will only charge out of integrity. Do you really think that corporations give a fuck whenever they make these chemical pills to poison people? Do you really think they care about being in integrity? Look at how much money they're making. Money is a neutral energy. Money is a very neutral energy. And imagine if you put your divine heart, soul, and compassion behind it. If you combine your spirituality, your divine moral compass behind it, and if you put that energy behind everything that is that you do, imagine just how much you will actually be blessed with money. Like, there is a reason why the divine gave you this gift. So this is the number one reason. I have more. I'm going to go into more because I can go on about this, but I want to try to keep this as short as I can because I go on tangents. So the other paradigm is because of the notion of safety. A lot of people whoever is watching say, hey, a lot of people who are spiritual and highly talented, they want to keep some sort of a consistency in their life, because the nature of spiritual evolution and expansion is one that leads you to unknown places, is one that asks you to do away with the old and bring in the new. And for a lot of people, that might be really freaking scary. So while we are, becoming this divine self and downloading cool energies and evolving and heightening our frequency as humans, whatever, becoming more of ourselves, yes, we still do have these human fears of like, I want to make sure that my car gets paid for, that my rent is paid, that I have, food on the table, all of that. So it's this notion of safety. We create this kind of like false safety, yet you will ask any spiritual entrepreneur or any spiritually inclined person, have things ever not worked out? Have they ever not been provided for? Have they chosen to actually trust their divine guidance? Right? So this is the other paradigm that I want to go ahead and dispel for people, because a lot of people kind of have this like false notion of safety and are afraid to actually take the action and claim their gifts and claim their sacred, amazing, mystical superpowers that can literally cure cancers for the notion of safety. Imagine what would happen if a cancer curing mystic dared to go ahead and be like, you know what, this is what I do, and started curing cancers left and right. There would be people lined up out the street who would pay anything on the planet to have their cancer cured in one session. And I am telling you guys right now, like, I've talked to people like that in my field who literally do that. Like, I'm not making this up. Like, I have talked to people who can literally do that, but are too afraid because of this notion of safety, right? And on the other side, those of us who are like in a struggle, like, wow, this spiritually amazing person can clear me of my struggle and I will pay them anything, is too afraid to actually step up and start claiming it. Isn't it like such a crazy paradox? And this is what a lot of like spiritual people face as to why they're having a hard time with business. So here's the other one. There is a sense of polarity that has been perpetuated within, the spiritual coaching, spiritual mentorship, and spiritual like transformational field world, between like the divine feminine and the divine masculine, between action and flow, between living in your full alignment versus like logical, systematic approaches to life, right? Between the left and the right brain, between your God self and your human self, not really realizing in the whole divine spectrum of things that all of those things are actually one. The sages of the ages have been talking about this since the beginning of time. If you look at Tao Te Ching and how old that thing is, if you guys know that really cool symbol called the yin and the yang, there has been this notion that we polarize things and we kind of demonize the opposite instead of looking at it in full harmony instead of polarity. So a lot of spiritual people have been like, we have been shoved down our throats that we're supposed to be in soul alignment, that we can't take action unless something feels good. That things have to be like spiritually awesome before we can take any kind of business decision, not realizing that us humans are actually driving like a car our soul in this body. So we are actually like one entity. The soul and the body lives right here. Right here. They're not separate. And there's this really crazy paradigm among spiritual people that, oh, I have to connect with my higher self, as if it's not already available and not available right here, right now. Yes, there are things that spiritual people do in order to elevate their frequency and get to those realms, but the whole point of the human existence is to enjoy your divinity right here in this human existence. So this is the other reason why a lot of people that are spiritual have a hard time with business, is because they don't understand like the logical systematic approaches. They have a hard time with like placing their gift into a box, if you will, or they feel like somehow it's gonna ruin its sacredness because they see this polarity between, this is godlike, I have to keep it on a pedestal, I can't actually integrate it in my human form and charge money for it. So that's the other crazy myth that a lot of spiritual people have, and why they have a hard time with business, instead of taking both beautiful parts of their brain of like, wow, I can logically and systematically take this amazing divine gift that is actually the gateway to my prosperity and abundance and world change and impact on the planet, combine the two and make magic happen from there, right? So this is the other thing of like dispelling polarity. And lastly, the inability to express it. I have met so many spiritual people that is literally like talking to somebody who has eaten too much acid, who have gone in their meditations to other realms, who have gone to like God and back, who have had like spiritual amazing experiences of enlightenment, and they have a hard time understanding the other side of it because now they feel like they've become God or something like that they have a hard time explaining it in human language of what the hell it is that they actually do, right? So a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, they have a hard time actually getting intimate with their divine gift, because yes, all we have is words in this human expression, but we also have art forms and music to express our divinity through in this dimension. For so long as we're taking a shit in the morning and having sex to procreate, we are still human. And yes, while we are becoming more of our divine self and raising our frequency, there's a very important lesson right now is to integrate it into human form of how can we like play with this now. So the hardest thing for a lot of spiritual people is to integrate it back into human, because a lot of studies have now been like, here, do yoga and essential oils and eat healthy and go meditate and take DMT and heighten your experience into like higher spiritual realms. However, we're forgetting like, yo, you're still in human form, we're still driving cars, we can go snowboard, we can enjoy this amazing human body in order to actually integrate all of these gifts into the here and now. And that's the biggest problem that I feel a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs have, if you will, whenever it comes to business, is they have no idea how to talk about what it is that they do to the people that might actually really, really need it. So for instance, you are perhaps, if you are a spiritual mystic and a spiritual entrepreneur, you may be using words like Akashic libraries or chakras or stepping into your higher self or oversoul or divinity or whatever that can scare somebody away with like a 10-foot pole. Somebody who might actually pay you thousands of dollars for your gift, it might scare them shitless to hear things like that, because you see they've been conditioned with like the Bible, or they've been conditioned with other religions or other paradigms, and you don't know how to bring it to them in a way that is like, hey, all dogma aside, this is nothing like dogmatic, this is just me trying to help you cure your cancer, liberate you from your mental struggles. help heal your relationship with your wife, whatever it might be, whatever these spiritual, amazing entrepreneurs do, they have a hard time explaining it to unfamiliar audiences. And this is the number one like thing where the mark gets missed is whenever they have a hard time explaining it to the audiences that might actually need their gift and might actually like pay whatever it takes to get their energy in on their relationship or on their body or whatever, to help heal them of their perceived struggle. The biggest struggle here for a spiritual entrepreneur is being able to express it from this like God divine type of an expression into everyday words. This is what I do. I go into your energy and I take out the thing that's causing you pain and I throw it away. It could literally be as simple as that, as opposed to utilizing words. I go into your soul, past life, Akashic library, and I look through all the traumas. A lot of the people like that are your highest impact that will pay you whatever it takes don't really give a fuck as to how you do it. A lot of the highest paying like clients or highest impact clients, they do not care about the spiritual uniform or the spiritual lingo, because for them that actually scares the fuck out of them. They don't want to hear it. So for a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, knowing how to talk to their audience that will actually pay them for their gifts is the number one struggle. So I am actually talking about more of this in depth in my group tomorrow called the Prolific Playground. I'm going more in depth about each one of these pain points that I have mentioned. I'm going to go ahead and drop the link for my group. Just a second. Prolific Playground. Come join me tomorrow. This is going to be at 10 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. I am going to go through these myth by myth and dispel as to why spiritual people are stuck in their 9 to 5s. Let me go over this again. It's because this perceived notion of safety, of how like, oh no, what if I actually step up into my spiritual self and utilize this gift for my abundance? Oh shit, what might happen? Wait, I can't do that until I have a certain amount of money in my bank account, right? When in fact, they could have thousands and thousands of people pouring in because thousands of people need healing on the planet right now. Let's face it. So the next one is keeping the sacredness of the gift. There's a lot of fear around including money and money exchange in their spiritual amazing service because, oh no, somehow it's not spiritual to charge for their gift. I want to go ahead and dispel that right now, because look at how money is a neutral energy. Money ends up in hands of people who perhaps don't use it for the best well-being of the planet. And imagine if money did end up in hands of people that are conscious, who have healing on the mind, who have healing on their heart, and are highly compassionate and conscious individuals. Imagine if they had money as their megaphone of what kind of planet we would live in. So that's the other one to think about. The other one, the polarity between the masculine and feminine, between God and human, between spiritual and human. This needs to go right now, because you are here, you are divine, having a human experience. We all are. All religions know the presence of a soul or a spirit, and we are here having a human experience. We're not separate from it. And as soon as we shed this human body, we go back to that realm. So there's no separation between the two. This is just a blip in a time and an experience that we have. So there's no separation between the God and the human. We're actually one and the same. Let's see what else. I said the charging for service. And finally, lastly, this notion of not being able to express what it is that they do to audiences that might actually need them, because they've been conditioned by their peers of what spiritual lingo or what being spiritual is actually all about. Of somehow that they have to hide behind the uniform of their yoga leggings or the shrines that they have built in their houses, and that somehow they have to use a specific lingo that includes things but not limited to chakras and soul and divine being and stepping into your power, rather than explaining their gift to somebody like a 5-year-old or somebody who might be a completely of a different paradigm, who will actually be ready to pay them, not caring about any of the mechanics of the above. They'll be like, here, you want to heal me? Here's thousands of dollars. I don't need to know about soul or chakras or anything else. So I am going over this in a lot more detail tomorrow in my group, so come join me. I'm going over all of these myths and I'm going to dispel them yet again. The whole purpose of me going live here right now is to introduce myself and introduce this passionate mission that I'm behind, to place more money in the hands of conscious individuals, because that is how we're going to create planetary change. Because imagine if we had money in the hands of healers and mystical people who are not stuck in cubicles and are not feeding the corporations, but are rather out there curing cancers and doing their Reiki to replant forests and fixing people's relationships and fixing people's energy fields. Imagine how much better of a world we would live in if people focused on healing, and if people focused on this compassionate divine consciousness, had the money to do their work, and were divinely compensated, of how much more healing the planet would experience. So, having said that, come join me in my group tomorrow. This is the biggest reasons why people who are highly spiritually talented and mystically gifted have a hard time with business. And tomorrow I am introducing an amazing bonus surprise for you, my all new program called Coalesce, that actually goes through each one of these problems step by step in a process that I help you get through. Creating marketing for your highest impact clients, dispelling the myths of that there's nothing spiritual, you guys, about being broke, of getting your whole heart, soul, and mission behind creating wealth, prosperity, and abundance here in this human experience as a spiritual entrepreneur, and that it does not by any means mean that you're out of integrity or that somehow your gift is less sacred because you're charging money for it. All of those are pretty much what I address in my new program called Coalesce. Come join me tomorrow in my group, because I'm going to go dispel these myths one by one in a lot more detail. This is going to be, like I said, tomorrow, Thursday, October 10th. In my group, I put in the link, The Prolific Playground, and we're going to do this at 10 a.m. Hawaii Standard Time. So come join me and come get behind this mission of placing more money in the hands of conscious individuals to create conscious leaders and a better planet. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Much aloha to you.